Professor of French, Shenoi Goembab School of Languages and Literature, Goa University. She has over a decade of teaching experience spanning India and France. As a Teach for India alumna, she is passionate about educational equity, the use of active learning techniques to improve learning outcomes, and the creation of culturally contextualized open educational resources for the global South. Let's give her a round of applause. And to take us through a demonstration of tools for Konkani language terminology, we have Ms. Sunaina Gaude, who is pursuing her PhD in Computer Science and Technology. Please, can you make your way to the stage? On the topic, machine translation. She is a research associate for the Vidyapati MT project funded by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India. She is joined by Ms. Shilpa Desai, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology, Father Ragnell College, Pilar. Her areas of expertise include natural language processing, machine learning, and machine translation. They will be presenting jointly, so let's give both of them a round of applause. And the session will be moderated by Professor Jyoti Pawar. Professor Pawar is Associate Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Technology, Goa University. Her doctoral research in computer science focused on design and analysis of subspace clustering algorithms and their applicability. She is a member of the Board of Studies in Computer Science, Goa University, and a life member of the Computer Society of India. She is also a member of the Art of Living Foundation and the Yoga Vedanta Seva Samiti, Goa chapter. Currently, she's working as an investigator for 3 major natural language processing consortia mode projects funded by DIT New Delhi. Please help me welcome once again Professor Jyoti Pawar, and as moderator, I request you to take over, ma'am. Thank you.
A very good morning to all of you. First of all, I would like to thank the Dean, School of Languages, for giving me this opportunity to moderate this session. Before we start, I would like to give a brief, some background about how we started the work of National Language Processing at Goa University. We had started this work in around 2009, and that reminds me of Professor Pushpak Bhattacharya, who was the main person who motivated us to start on this journey. And there I recollect Dr. Shilpa Desai. She is the first PhD student who took the bold step of registering for PhD in the area of natural language processing when we did not have much resources. All of you must be knowing that if we computer science people have to do some research in natural language processing, we need a lot of resources. And for the resources, we are dependent on the language experts. And it's always said when you have that strong desire, your desire gets fulfilled, and at that time only we got the project on Indian Language Corpora Initiative, and this was led by Professor Girish Narcha from JNU. That was our first project, and it was really, I would say, a godsend to this. So with that resource, Shilpa could carry out her research, and then after that, of course, we had the other projects. So ILCI actually, the resource which is developed is used by most of the researchers. So through that, we developed parallel corpus for around 16 languages, and it has 70,000 parallel corpus sentences and 30,000 monolingual data for Konkani. All this is being used, and then we had the shallow parser project tool, which was led by Professor Uma Maheshwar from University of Hyderabad. And in that, we developed morphology analyzer, POS tagger, all these things also which are required And then yet very important, this where Goa University was given an opportunity and we led the consortium, that's the Indradhanush WordNet project consortium. There we had 7 languages and including Konkani. So through that WordNet project, we developed the Konkani WordNet. And during the demo session, Shilpa and Sunena will be demonstrating that to you all. So this, and now what we are working on. So all these 3 projects have, we have completed. And one thing about projects is once the project funding stops, normally the work doesn't a good sign, but I'm happy to say that our NLP team at Goa University is still carrying on with the WordNet work, and that again will be demonstrated. Even corpus creation also we are continuing. And now the most, apt project which is required is the project on machine translation, bidirectional machine translation. We are right now working under Vidyapati project for the Konkani Hindi language pair. Okay. I would say there is a need for also English Konkani, Marathi Konkani. We are also interested in working for Sanskrit Konkani, and also it could be with foreign languages also we could. Since on the campus we have French, we have Portuguese. Means that could be the next in future, but right now at least we should focus on more, of course, on Hindi and Konkani, because that's the work that's going on. Next is English Konkani. There's a real demand for it from the stakeholders, because mostly all the things we get in English and we would want it to be translated in Konkani. And then of course also Marathi and Sanskrit, because so there are some students who on their own have volunteered and have started working on this. Okay. Even for WordNet also, we need more domain-specific WordNets. Again, that will be touched on during the session. So with this brief introduction, I would like to invite the first resource person, Dr. Kavita Asnani. She'll be speaking on, as was said, use of technology in textbook writing. Over to you.
In the meantime, if you... A very good morning to one and all. I take this opportunity to thank Vice Chancellor, Goa University, Registrar, Goa University, Dean, School of Languages, Professor Anuradha Vagre, ma'am, chairing this session, Professor Jyoti Pawar, ma'am. Thank you so much for an opportunity. And it's indeed a privilege for me to share this session and this forum with very learned friends and faculty from our teaching fraternity. Many of you whom I have very closely worked with, and many others we look forward to closely work with regard to enhancing Konkani language on the international map. And just to begin with the session, let us look at identifying why there is a need for us to reflect on this topic and how does it make relevance with regard to textbook writing. So with your permission, allow me to play a very short video of 1 minute 49 seconds. Yeah, I'll do that.
dominated by. It shows that while the positive potential of AI is absolutely amazing, there are many biases that we need to think carefully about. That is why I am grateful to my friend.
So this is during the AI Summit 2025 when our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi was co-chairing the conference. So as we could witness this, let us reflect on where do we stand in terms of the resources, accessibility and effectiveness of Konkani language on the AI platform, which is a highly evolving platform today. And in our daily life, each one of us do use AI and generative AI for our writings, isn't it? So may I quickly ask the respected audience in this room, how many of you do use ChatGPT every day for your academic writing purpose or in specific for the purposes related to textbook writings? None? May I please have a hand raise? Yes, ma'am. Not often. Okay, so I'll refine my question a little further. How many of us in this room do use ChatGPT or any other generative AI resource for academic writing purpose or textbook writing purpose in English language? Yes? Not for textbook writing. Not for textbook writing. Okay, I actually expected a good number of hand raises here. And that's how I thought I would, begin my session and I would address the content in the context of textbook writing. So I will deviate slightly from what I had really planned. So let us do a little small experiment. And since ChatGPT is one of the freely available and very popular resource for generative AI, it generates the text in all the languages. Let us try to do this experiment on ChatGPT. So let me go to ChatGPT and simply begin a new prompt. All right, and so prompt is nothing but a natural language query which I will be simply running on this tool. And what I'm asking is, act as a brainstorming moderator. We 4 people, so let us assume that the idea for writing a book is being brainstormed by 4 individuals, P1, P2, P3 and P4. And we need to feed our ideas to ChatGPT one by one. And we are asking ChatGPT to validate our ideas or ask questions on that just to know whether our idea is good enough to be carried forwarded. If our answer is incorrect and inconsistent, you must correct us before asking the next question. The subject of brainstorming is writing textbooks for UG students of computer science discipline, or we may change it to any discipline you want, and then making the book available in Konkani language. Okay, so shall I try it on computer science? Or you want me to try it on some other discipline? Computer science is my domain of comfort, so I had tried on computer science. Let me try this prompt and let's see what happens. Okay, So it says, great, I'll moderate your brainstorming session. Each participant can present their ideas one by one. I'll validate them, ask follow-up questions and provide corrections if needed. I'm continuing in English for a simple reason that English is a high resource language. Therefore, we can expect high level of accuracy and relevance with English language. So I'm continuing with English language. And let me go ahead and say, yes, now that P1, in the role of P1, I give a prompt saying that, yes, tell me about the specific main stages of textbook writing, and then tell me the corresponding tool which I can use. All right? And I simply run this prompt. Okay? So ChatGPT has helped me to understand that the first stage is planning and conceptualization. It gives me the goal, the tasks I need to address, and it also suggests the tool I can use for that particular stage. Similarly, when I move forward, it is suggesting to me stage by stage the sequence in which I need to go, the respective goal, task, and the tools which I may use. Writing and drafting, as you see, the tools you can validate as I'm scrolling, and you will be able to see that it has suggested very useful inputs, reviewing and editing, formatting and typesetting. So I know how I need to follow my workflow for my textbook writing and what do I need to use at each stage, right? Now it is asking me, would you like me to refine this for a specific type of computer science textbook? Anyways, what I'm doing is, let me begin with the first task. I'm asking ChatGPT, can you suggest the title of the book based on the introduction of computer science in line with the recommendations of NEP 2020? All right? To have my focus narrowed, I asked ChatGPT to give a suggestion. Remember, the prompt is mine. Therefore, the outcome which I'm getting, the output which I'm getting from ChatGPT is supposed to be novel, since it is driven by the prompt, right? So now I get to see the suggestions from ChatGPT, and these are the titles it is suggesting considering the recommendations of NEP 2020. Yes, let us say I'm selecting the suitable title, and I go ahead with the title and say, act as a creative academician and a textbook writer in computer science. So I will try to say textbook writer in the suggested title, right? So since this is my preference, I'll just, okay. So your task is to provide the outline for the book titled so and so. So I'll mention the title. And let me go ahead. So now I'm asking the outline of the book. And here you go. For the book preferred, I'm using the same title as suggested. I may simply go and update the title. If need be, it's suggesting the outline of the book. The chapters per section. If you look at the content very closely, you will see that it has done fairly good job by suggesting relevant content. Okay? Here you go with glossary of terms, important resources, and also it has generated the key features of the so-called book draft. Right? Let me go ahead and let me ask for the further refinement. So it has been just, I think, how many minutes that we started? Just few minutes, and I already have my tentative title and the outline of book ready in hand, right? Yes? It is about the quality of prompt when you try to really validate the output which you are getting from ChatGPT. That is the reason the prompt engineers are being highly paid today. Because it is about the art of asking questions. our Upanishad also mentioned that it is more crucial and critical to ask good questions, right? To seek right answers. And it is the same thing happening on large language models like ChatGPT, right? So what is important is the quality of your prompt. So before you start validating your answer, make sure you get back to your prompt and try to enhance your prompt to get closer and closer to the expected answer, right? Let me go a little further and say, act as an expert in computer science, and your task is to create chapters of the suggested book. Now, I have more conditions. I'm saying generate details of chapter 1. No sentence should have more than 12 words. Why I'm saying this? Because we wanted to validate it real time. So I've given it a condition that the sentence should not have more than 12 words or difficult phrasal verbs. I said use bullet points for short explanation. And your task is to ensure the targeted content with clear organization, which must highlight key concepts of the chapter, provide real-time examples for the respective concept, and provide practice and self-assessment for every concept which is included in the chapter. You must also provide leads to multimedia resources in the public domain, and the chapter should meet Bloom's cognitive level of comprehension. So all my requirements from that chapter with regard to a particular concept in the chapter, I have very clearly dictated, right? So I go ahead with this prompt and try to look at generating the outline of chapter 1 based on the given conditions. So now it compiles and it says, here is the structure as desired, where it is trying to tell me what is computer science, the key concepts addressed in this, under this topic, the real world examples as we asked, and it has generated practical self-assessment suggestions, and also it has given me the URLs to the multimedia resources or references which it has utilized for generating or suggesting this content. And similarly, it's moving towards the subsequent subtopics of that chapter. And it is indeed following the same format for every concept or subtopic of the subsequent sections of the chapter. Can you see this? And I limited it to those many number of words. I also limited it precisely to the Bloom's comprehensive levels of the Bloom's taxonomy. And I also said that please do include real world examples. Right? So if you validate this, you will see that you're amazingly taken off a lot of mechanical load. You are able to collapse your thought and focus it at least to get the first draft of a usable form, which you can practically use it very effectively. Right? We'll go a little further and let us say, now that I have asked for an outline of the chapter with a given constraint, now I'll say I'm good with the chapter, and now please generate the sufficient descriptions for every subtopic without any word limit constraint, which I did offer in my previous prompt. And here is a full version of chapter 1, which it has to offer. So now it's defining each and every term of relevance which was included in the chapter. and you can actually go and validate the resource here. I just tried to open one of the resources it suggested, and when I really try to go to this program, it does offer the content which it has suggested, that you can go to the respective references and check the quality of reference. Okay, and it has also given us the preview of the further chapter if we wish to go ahead with. I mean, it's pretty much reducing a lot of load, right? Okay. Few things, for example, the list of vocabulary words. So I ask the chapter completion with respect to generation of the vocabulary words of the chapter. Okay, so now what is happening is, it's yet compiling, so as you see, yeah. And now it has updated. Can you see the same chapter has been updated, because now I'm asking it to update the chapter with the vocabulary list. And now this is the vocabulary list for the respective title. Right? So as far as the standard definitions like vocabulary list, glossary, and other elements of writing are concerned, it will duly generated based on its correct definitions. All right. So this is a glimpse of how the creative writing can simply get more convenient by using generative AI. Now the question is, what is the status with regard to Indian languages? Right? So let's try to give a check on that, and let's try to run it for maybe Marathi first. So I have a small input here, and let me try to run this in Marathi. So it has generated the output in Marathi, and let me just get it to the screen. All right. Okay. This is the prompt in case you want to validate it. And I've given it fairly the text which involves scientific terms, just to understand, because if you just try this on general purpose text, it will run very well as far as English and Marathi is concerned. You will get good accuracy. So I tried to include scientific terms because I believe most of you here are from science and social sciences disciplines. So I've just tried to include the text with scientific terms to validate the Marathi output. And let's try to run the prompt for Konkani and check the output. This does require expert review for us to come to a conclusion. So what I'll do is, I'll ask ChatGPT, maybe, okay, I'll ask ChatGPT to compare the translation generated in Marathi and Konkani. So here you go. It says Marathi has structured and formal grammar and clear syntax. Similar structure but slightly more conversational, it says in Konkani. Okay? And it says it uses standard scientific terminology. But for Konkani it says it uses Tarang Kand Daiti, similar to Marathi but adapted to Konkani phonetics. And in fact I tried a lot of other cases where literally it started behaving like Marathi. It started giving Marathi output. I can just show you those use cases as well. Then I said, I asked you to generate in Konkani and now you're generating in Marathi. Then it says, I'm very sorry, you're right, I will try to improve myself. And after that it went further. I think I may be having, so this is what it is giving now. Let's see what it gave now and I'll show you what happened earlier. So here it says Marathi tends to use more Sanskritized and formal terminology, making it sound slightly more academic. Konkani keeps similar terms but sounds more conversational. Now this is a diplomatic answer. It's not accepting that it has made mistake if you try to validate it. Now just in the favor of time, I'll just show you what it said this morning when I tried a couple of things. And I'll also show you the earlier cases. So here it said, Marathi translation is strong, whereas Konkani translation needs improvement in fluency. Marathi is accurate and precise. Konkani lacks standardization. Fluency in Marathi is natural and formal. Here it is informal. And it said that Konkani translation is understandable, but lacks formal technical vocabulary and it requires better sentence structuring for scientific clarity. So what it is trying to suggest is that there is a lot of influence in Konkani from Marathi resources because Konkani is lacking in its own natural language resources required for necessary processing. And if we try to do this on Gemini, look at what happens. If I try this on Gemini and I say translate in Konkani, this particular paragraph, it says I'm still working to learn more languages. So I cannot do that just yet. So if you try to do this experiment in Konkani language, you will see that it lacks majorly in its scientific clarity, accuracy and fluency. And therefore, let's roll back to understand what is really required for a certain language to behave in a very reliable manner and a responsible manner on the large language models. And what we understand is, effectively for a language, you need certain resources which are very fundamental resources like good quality data. You need good quality pre-processing and post-processing resources. So data cleaning tools, annotation tools are few important fundamental resources which should be of a high quality in that particular language for a large language model to fairly give you a reliable output. Now, on this forum, we are talking about textbook content generation, we are talking about scientific content generation, right? And specifically, if we look and if we try to measure the performance, accuracy and fluency of large language models, especially in terms of Konkani, we conclude with one observation. And as recommended, this observation says that for a language to be usable in terms of content generation or in terms of basic translation, the only way is to build domain-specific resources in that context. For example, you need domain-specific dictionaries for one to retrieve the right meaning of the terms or vocabulary. You need domain-specific terminologies. I think yesterday there was a session on CSTT terminologies, and you saw that CSTT is playing a major role in constructing terminologies in various domains in 22 constitution languages, right? And they have created immensely useful resources, and those resources are available on the open platform for ready use in the respective language. And yesterday it was very well demonstrated, as I have understood from the schedule yesterday, that it was already shown how to search for terminologies on CSTT and how to incorporate it in your writings, right? So So what was the need for CSTT to go ahead and construct terminologies which were domain specific? Because unless and until we do not have domain specific data, the quality of our output is not going to improve, and it is not going to be comparable with very established languages like English language or any of the European languages. So for our language, our state language, to be really working at that level, we have to look at domain-specific machine translation models as well. We all are aware about Bhashini platform, and yesterday I think Professor Gard has also demonstrated how Anuvad can be used for translation purpose. And there you must have witnessed that, again, it does work in the respective context, and in certain other contexts which probably maybe after going home you may have tried, and you may have seen that you are really not able to get it for that particular input of your domain or your discipline. Now that is because there is a need again for each one of you to contribute your valuable knowledge towards these background resources, especially in terms of terminology, in terms of dictionaries, and in terms of empty models, so which essentially require good quality data. This morning, ma'am, actually when we started, she shared with us the journey through which we have moved ahead and we have constructed natural language resources in Konkani language. And these resources are in continuous development and need a lot of enhancement today, so that we are able to perform on platforms like Bhashini, where machine translation is happening in all the constitution languages. And I think Sunaina today will be demonstrating how we are performing at that level, and the need for more and more cooperation from your end, and very valuable inputs from the subject experts like all of you sitting in this room. So we will be looking at various different resources which need the help from all of you. So I would request Shilpa to carry it forward, where she'll be speaking about WordNet. Thank you.
We'll take up all the questions at the end after all this because of the time constraints. I also would request all of you just to note down what was the main takeaway from each of the speakers, where you will be able to really apply. And if you see some channels inside of the note down, which you can share with everyone.
A very good morning to everyone present. So basically I will be telling a little bit about the different tools which can be helpful for translation, and the demonstration will be done by Sunaina. So I'll get into it directly. Now, these are the tools which you have been using. Mainly a dictionary, a multilingual dictionary would be helpful for your work of translation or creating content in Konkani. And I'm going to be speaking about WordNet. So to understand WordNet, we need to understand how a dictionary and a thesaurus and a WordNet works. And since most of you, as I understand, come from scientific backgrounds or from social science background, terminology is something which comes into play, and I guess yesterday terminology was discussed in detail. So A dictionary, as we say, is mainly giving you definitions or meanings. You have a word and you have the different senses of that word. We all have used dictionaries. Thesaurus mainly concentrates on synonyms, that is similar, samanarthi shabda. And terminology comes into play when we look at specific domains. Now, coming to WordNet, WordNet is a lexical resource which combines both the dictionary as well as the thesaurus. And the main thing about a WordNet is that it is concept-oriented. Rather than a dictionary which is more of word form oriented, word forms in the sense when you talk about any word. Like for example, since we are all going to be working with Konkani, let me take an example of Vatap. Masalo Vatap, Patrika Vatap. Both sound similar, but come in different senses. The concept is different. So similarly, in a WordNet, there will be two concepts. One is for Masalo Vatap, Vatap with Masalo Vatap sense, and the other one with Vatap, which is the Patrika Vatap sense. So WordNet basically is concept-oriented from that angle. And it's a lexical resource which actually is surrounded around a thesaurus. It's more like a thesaurus where it takes into context the different synonyms of a concept. So like here, we see a concept of school. We have Vidyalaya, Pathshala, and school. Now, another important aspect of this WordNet, which may help you in translation, is that these synonyms which are there for a particular concept, they are not randomly ordered, but the first word which you will find in that sense or in that concept is the most frequently used word. Then there are alternate words for that concept. So if you are stuck on a concept and you want to see which word is more frequently used, then you can use the WordNet for that. And it also gives something called ontology, where it stands, whether it is a noun, inanimate noun, whether it's a place, physical place, and all that. But that maybe you would not require. But it has that data. So basically, a WordNet comes under 5 different part of speech categories, as we say. It's basically nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and some function words also are included, but mostly in our Konkani WordNet, which is developed, we have nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. And there will be some kind of redundancy, means the word may be appearing in multiple concepts because of the polysemous nature of the data. So WordNet, as I'm repeating myself, is more like a thesaurus than a dictionary, and it will combine both the polysemous nature of the words, that is one word which may be read in the same way, or it may sound same to us, but may have different senses, and a word, a sense may be depicted using different words. So in our translation, now we have already have a lot of words, around more than 30,000 entries of concepts in the current WordNet, and the terminology also has been created for scientific purpose. The challenge now being, going forward, we probably need a resource like a WordNet or a Shabdakosh. Now, Shabdakosh is, I would say, kind of a child of WordNet, which is multilingual, which is very helpful. It is, again, it has combined both the thesaurus and the dictionary. However, there are some subtle differences between Shabdakosh and WordNet, which I would like to highlight now. In a Shabdakosh, if you go for an English word, it will give you the different senses very correctly. But if you try to do the same with Konkani, the different senses may not be available for all the words as compared to Konkani WordNet. The Konkani WordNet, as of now, this may change in the coming future, but as of now, the Konkani WordNet will give you the multiple senses of the word in a more detailed manner. Shabdakosh also gives, but you can compare the two. Secondly, the synonyms in a Shabdakosh may not necessarily be ordered with respect to the frequency of usage. So these are the two things. One, as a translator, you may need to keep in mind when using both the resources. Why do we need a domain specific? I think you all know much better than me because you all will be working in this thing. And there is an unavailability of local terms. Now, this is a very challenging task when you design terminology, and the terminology workshop must have addressed this challenge. Again, this is a personal view that comes directly from my side. So when we come up with terminology, what happens is the terminology is totally new for the audience also, and it's not in usage, it's not in common parlance. So when it is not in common parlance and we use that terminology, it can be a challenge to understand the concept. So we need to brainstorm on how we generate this terminology, and more than that, how we bring it into common parlance. Because once it comes into common parlance, then our job is solved. Like, for example, during COVID, the terminology which was quarantine, as they said. Quarantine was something which nobody understood prior to COVID, or the general public did not understand. But now everybody does understand it after COVID. So similarly, when we coin a terminology, we need to wonder how it comes into common parlance, and slowly, once it comes into common parlance, our job is done. So that's, and just as how the WordNet has a concept, and the concept has multiple synonyms, we also should be looking at a concept when it comes to a terminology, and whether it is possible to have different synonyms for it, and which synonyms would fit in best. To give an example, I was checking up for some purpose standards, the word International Standard Organization, and then when I gave it to the Google Translate, it gave me something like Antarashtriya Manak Sansthan, something like that. I can't remember the exact word. Maybe the Konkani people can help me on that. Standards, if anybody knows the word used. Standards, for standards, International Standard Organization. Okay, we'll get back to it when we do the demo. But I found that from my side, Praman would have been a more suitable word. But yeah, he's agreeing or disagreeing with me? Disagreeing. Because, yeah, so he is disagreeing with me, but from my background, I felt that it may be a better word for me, but you have, yes, ma'am.
In the dictionary, Konkani dictionary, it shows Adarshman, Praman, Manak,
Manak.
Bauta, Nishan, Mapadan.
Okay.
You can choose which one.
Yes. So Manak was the word, I was not getting it. Manak was the word which was given, and as ma'am said, Praman is also there. So the question of whether Praman should be used or Manak should be used remains a debate, and these are the kind of debates which we should be taking up, and whether in our new concept or terminology, whether Praman should be coming first or Manak should be coming first or some other word should be coming first. That is something, and then again, its usage across different people and what fits into the correct scientific purpose will need to be checked. Yes, so that's it from my side. We'll now have the demo by Sunaina.
Again, requesting you all to note down the questions which will take up.
So, first of all, I would like to thank the School of Languages and Ma'am Jyoti as well as my supervisor for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts on the tools which are available for Konkani language with us right now. Before that, आयज आंतरराष्ट्रीय मायभास दिसाची सगल्यांक परबी. नमस्कार, माझे नाव सुनैना गावडे and I am a PhD student in Goa University. Also, I am working for the machine translation project called as Vidyapati in Goa University itself. So, I will be speaking on the tools for Konkani language. Since Kavita ma'am and Shilpa ma'am have already said the environment with respect to the technology and tools available or can be used while writing in Konkani, I will directly jump to the demonstration of these tools which are available. So, when we say writing something in Konkani, the first thing which comes to our mind is the dictionary, whichever is available, whether it is offline or online. Since I am speaking regarding the online things, I will speak regarding the most popular tools which are available. So, the first online tool is a Shabdakosh website, which is a popular one, and most of you will be using this tool to get the relevant words in your respective regional language. So, the second tool, which is less popular, I would say, but more rich with respect to the lexical relations and all other informations regarding Konkani word, is a Konkani WordNet. So, this Konkani WordNet, as discussed by Jyoti ma'am, was a project developed under the Goa University itself, and Konkani WordNet has a lot of information regarding the Konkani concept. So currently we have covered 32,000 synsets in Konkani. You can say the unique concepts or unique words from Konkani we have covered. So what exactly Konkani WordNet shows is that it is giving you the search capability to search for any Konkani word, okay, and along with the Konkani word and the synonyms corresponding to the Konkani words, it will also give you the definition of that particular Konkani word. Not only that, it will also give the example sentences which uses that Konkani word, and also the part of speech category as discussed by Shilpa ma'am. So I will be also showing you the interface wherein you can access this Konkani WordNet over the internet, and I will also try giving some words to the Konkani WordNet and show you what kind of information is available with us right now. So to add to this Konkani WordNet, I would like to mention about the Hindi WordNet as well, because the Konkani WordNet which was developed here was developed based on the Hindi WordNet. Whatever words are available with Hindi WordNet are linked with the unique IDs with the Konkani WordNet. So in case you are having some Hindi word, and for that Hindi word if you want to know the Konkani word, you can directly go to Hindi WordNet and search for your Hindi word, and that Hindi word is connected to the Konkani word and all other languages like Marathi, Bengali and all other languages Jyoti ma'am will be knowing better. So this was about the Hindi wordnet, and the last one is the Indo wordnet. Indo wordnet is a final product which was the combination of all other wordnets which were developed independently by the institutes. Like Goa University has developed Konkani wordnet, IIT Bombay must have developed Marathi wordnet, and so on. All these wordnets were combined and a single product was launched called as Indo wordnet. I will be also showing you the interface used by these ones. So the first one which I mentioned about is a Konkani wordnet which is developed in Goa University itself. So when you go to this URL which is hosted on university server itself, you just have to go to this second tab called as Konkani wordnet, and here you can put your Konkani word. Okay, so right now the word ghar is been searched. So for the word ghar, I am showing you the concept definition which you can read, which explains what the word is about. Then it will show the synonyms if available for that particular words, and then it will show you the example sentence wherein that particular word is used. Okay, so here if you can see, there is a POS category showing that this word is a noun. Okay, so here there is some additional information like hypernymy, holonymy. So some of you may be interested in these relationships based on your domain of expertise, wherein you want to understand a part of and type of relationship. I will not go deeper into this concept, this part, following this concept definition and everything. So this part is of your interest. Now if suppose you have a Hindi word, and if suppose you want to know the Konkani word, so you have to go to the home page of this and search for the word. Here I will show you. Here go to the Hindi wordnet. I am searching for the word which is suggesting to me for Jhula, which is a swing, and I will search for the word and I will get this senses. So here the word is mentioned, then here the concept definition is mentioned, and here the example sentence. It is very much similar to the Konkani wordnet which I have demonstrated, but the additional part is these things, relations and languages. So here you can see all other languages which are linked to Hindi language. So if you want to see the Konkani word for Jhula, you can go to KO, which is a short form used for Konkani language, and go to see the Konkani synset. And here you will see the word in Konkani, that is Zhopado, which is used in Konkani, as well as here it is the gloss definition, that is a concept definition of word Zhopado in Konkani itself, which is followed by the example sentence which is using Zhopado in that. Okay, so this is the much richer resource which you can use whenever you come across any difficulty while writing the textbooks, whenever you want some words which you know in Hindi and you want to coin that word or find that word in Konkani language. So the same things are hosted in Indo wordnet. This is a one which I mentioned about. This is a combination of all other languages wordnet clubbed together. So here you can search in any language, not necessarily Konkani or Hindi. If you have some word in English, Marathi, then go select this language, whichever language you have, search here, and you will get the information in your requested language, which you can choose over here. Okay. Like for example, I have the word in suppose Hindi. If I am typing Surya over here, and if I am searching in Hindi, then it is giving me the information in Hindi language and English language by default. But if I want the same information in Konkani, you just have to go down and select your language from this drop down. I am selecting Konkani, so here the Konkani information is shown. Now you want to know the synset information, that is you want this information whichever is there in Konkani, right? So you have to select synset over here. So here it will show you the corresponding language information. Similarly, you can select any other language. Suppose I am selecting Marathi, then here the corresponding data will be changed to Marathi language. So this is a very powerful portal which is available for your use and which you can use while if you encounter any difficulties. Okay. So this was about the 3 wordnets which are available. So the next thing is a machine translation tools. So now while writing the textbooks in Konkani, you will come across the situations wherein you want to directly get the translation of sentences directly, not a particular word, sentences, paragraphs, or the much bigger input. Okay, so for that you will be using Google Translate by default, because that is the most popular and you all know about Google Translate. Also, there are many more tools which are developed in India itself and specific to Indian languages. So those tools I would like to demonstrate today. So Google Translate I need not demonstrate for Konkani language. So the second most important and a great initiative actually taken by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, that is known as Bhashini. Bhashini is a bigger umbrella wherein many communities are working in parallel all over India to create the resources corresponding to their languages. Like Goa, in Goa, we are working to develop tools, linguistic resources, technological tools, which will help people to get the data or convert the data which is there in English or Hindi into Konkani. So, these are the three tools which are being developed under the Bhashini umbrella. The most important is Indic Trans. I would say most important because they are working on the most of the languages from India. So this AI for Bharat project, you must have heard about. AI for Bharat project is working in all the states of India, wherein these people are going to the villages of the states and collecting the data, whether it is a text data, speech data, photos, videos, audios, everything. Okay, so this work is going on, and based on the data collected by this project, they have developed the tool for machine translation called as Indic Trans. Okay, so this is one tool. I will be showing you the demonstration also. Then the second tool is a Vidyapati project which is going on in Goa University, and currently I am working for this project. So Vidyapati machine translation tool translates from Hindi to Konkani. So the source language is always the Hindi. Okay, and we are working for Hindi to Konkani language. Another project called as Ishan is going on, which is working on the northeastern states languages. Okay, and the source language for this project is English, and unfortunately Konkani is not included in the Ishan project. So I will directly go and show you the interface, how it looks. So this is the interface for Vidyapati and Ishan project, a collective initiative by the METI. So here, if I want to try for Hindi to Konkani machine translation system, then I have to select the language from this drop down. I have selected Hindi and I have put this sentence by default. Okay, so this is a sentence you can read, and this is an output which it is giving for the Goan Konkani. You have to select for Goan Konkani. Okay, so here is the output. So since all of you all know the Konkani language, so you can tell me whether the translation is correct, up to the mark, or the best, or poor. Not so good, right? Yes, not so good. It is generated by machine, so we cannot expect the perfect translation as of now. But I will not say that in future also it is not possible. In future there will be a system which will give you the perfect translation, which will need minimum edits by humans. Okay, so I agree that this is not providing you the correct translation right now. Okay, so we'll go and check for the Indic Trans model also, which is hosted with the app called as Anuvad. You can go to this link. I will also share this link with you all. So this is an app, Anuvad, which is hosting both the models. This model by IITB, which I shown you just now, by Vidyapati, as well as Indic Trans. So what you have to do is, you have to select Hindi over here. I am selecting Hindi because I have source language as Hindi only for Vidyapati project. Okay, you can select any other languages. Okay, so same sentence I have put over here, and I have selected, sorry, not this, Anuvad. I have selected Hindi over here and Konkani as a target language. Same sentence I have put, and this is the output given by the Indic Trans model. That is AI for Bharat project, which I have mentioned. Okay, so can you tell me, is this correct or better than the first one? Better than the first one, right? Okay, so you say this is a better or a perfect? not perfect, right? Okay. So this is about the Anuvad. So these are the two tools available and developed in India itself. Now you have Google Translate, you have Bing Translate also. So I will not be showing you the demonstration of those tools. But since you have said that this translation is not perfect, then we should go and see why the translation by these systems is not perfect, why it is not giving you the up to the mark translations. Okay. So we'll go back to our presentation. I have not demonstrated Ishan because Konkani is not included in Ishan project. Okay. So this is just the screenshot I have put. So if you want to access this site, you can go to this URL. You can click the photo if you want for the Vidyapati system. Then this is the URL for the Anuvad app. Okay, I have put two screenshots. Here you can select IIT Bombay model also, because our Vidyapati project is going on as a consortium project. What do you mean by consortium? It is a group project going on in respective states for their particular language. So for Vidyapati, we are working for Konkani language, IIT Bombay and CDEC Pune like institutes are working for Marathi, IIT Patna is working for Bengali. So all are working together, and the consortium leader is IIT Bombay. That's why you can see that here in drop down you have to select IIT Bombay model. So that will give you the output from our model, Vidyapati model. Okay. So this thing is the output from AI for Bharat over here, drop down. Okay. So why the translation quality is poor? So as you all know, as ma'am has explained, the applications which are based on artificial intelligence, AI is a trending thing, right? So how the basic concept of how these AI models are built, when we say artificial intelligence, it is referring to some kind of intelligence, right? It is very much similar to the human brains. So the AI models or AI applications are built by training the computer system. And how we train the system? By giving them the data. And the data required for training such kind of applications is huge. The requirement is huge. But the data available for Konkani language is very less as compared to other languages. And that is why the translation quality is poor in case of Konkani language. So the first thing is less available data for training machine translation model. Okay. So the second one is unavailability of processable Konkani data. So when I say I need data for training my machine translation model or any other linguistic model, I will need the data in a text format. Okay. So when I say data is not available, data is available in the book format. It is available in the PDF format, but it is not available in the text format. So for training any kind of systems, I need a data in a text format which is processable by my system. So this kind of data is not available, and if available, the quantity is very less. And the third thing, as discussed by ma'am, the lack of terminologies. We have terminologies, but the domain specific terminologies are lacking, but fortunately CSTT like institutes are already working in developing this kind of terminologies. So in future we may use these terminologies to improve our machine translation system. And the last one is lack of resources. I am referring to the technical resources which the department or NLP team in Goa University, we are already working or in process to develop such kind of tools, but still as compared to other languages such kind of tools are lacking. So what is training data? We always say when we have a conversation with language people as a computer scientist, we always say that data is not available, but what kind of data it is? So when I develop the machine translation system, I will need something called as parallel data. When I say machine translation, two languages are involved, right? Source language and target language. So if I want to train the machine translation system, I will need a data in both the languages to train my system. Simply giving the Konkani data will not work, right? So if I am developing Hindi to Konkani machine translation system, I will need the Hindi part as well as Konkani part, and this requirement is huge. So when I say parallel data is the exact translations of from source language to the target language, parallelly translated sentence wise. Okay, so this is parallel data. And currently for Konkani language, this is the statistics. We have 3 lakh, yes. we have 3,07,034 sentences for Konkani language with respect to Hindi or English. As compared to this, Marathi has 46 lakhs and Bengali has 79 lakhs of sentences. So you can relate this and see why the Konkani translation is poor, since data is very poor as compared to other languages. And this is a monolingual data which is used for training the models like LLM, which ma'am has shown, the ChatGPT like applications. We need only Konkani data to train my system and tell that this is how the Konkani data works and this is how you have to generate the data in Konkani. So only 2.5 lakh sentences are there. So I will briefly speak about the initiatives for parallel data creation. So there is this initiative called as BPCC, Bharat Parallel Data Creation, wherein the teams, various teams all over India are working to create the parallel data. The team language experts are continuously sitting and translating in their particular languages. So the second important initiative which I have already discussed under National Translation Mission is the Bhashini, wherein Vidyapati AI for Bharat projects are going on. Also CIL is working on translating sentences in various languages. Konkani is also included. Then there is this Bhasha Dan initiative. This is a voluntarily no cost, no profit initiative wherein they are appealing, Ministry of Information Technology is appealing Konkani speakers or Konkani writers to contribute. So they have these 4 things: Bolo, Likho, Suno and Dekho, wherein under Bolo you have to read and record your voice so that they get the audio data. Under Likho you have to translate the sentences. Then under Suno you have to listen to the audios and type, that is transcribing, and under Dekho you have to type the text which is seen in the images. Okay, so you can directly go and search for Bhasha Dan over Google and see if you can contribute for this. So this is the overall statistics of Bhasha Dan, how many people have contributed for Konkani. This is very less, only 43 Konkani speakers have contributed for Bhasha Dan. Only this many sentences are transcribed, and this is the statistics. So as compared to Konkani, see how much Marathi, Hindi people have worked for. The number is very high as compared to Konkani. Marathi also, this number is very high. Just go to Bhasha Dan website. You will easily get this website when you search on Google. Then this is an initiative for data creation in Goa University. Now since the Konkani data is very less, so we are continuously working for data creation and collection. So to create the monolingual data in Konkani, we have this Konkani portal called as Konkani Bhandar, which is the blog portal for Konkani writers. Whoever wish to write in Konkani language are welcome. They can contact us and write their own articles, poems on this portal. I will also show you how it looks. This is a portal wherein right now we have just started and we have almost 10 authors who are continuously writing their poems, articles over here. So if you are wishing to write, you can directly contact us and get on board. Then we have 2-3 slides remaining. Okay, then we are continuously working in compilation of the Konkani books which are available. So if you are the authors of some books and if you are willing to share your data for our training, model training, then you can also contact us and voluntarily work for the growth of Konkani language. Then there is this crowdsourcing approach wherein we are appealing people. Yes, I'm speaking. Yes, okay.
I think we'll need a special session for this.
Yeah, there is lots to share actually.
There's one more speaker, that's the reason.
Yeah, sure. So I will not speak about the crowdsourcing approach, and these are the initiatives which ma'am has already spoken, ILCI, WordNet, and these were the projects, and this is the contribution by PhD students. We have Morph Analyzer by Shilpa ma'am, POS Tiger, OCR is also available, and ASR, that is automatic speech recognition, is also available. And these are the ongoing initiatives, like machine translation project is going on. One PhD student is working for Konkani WordNet dictionary creation also. One student is working on named entity tagger and idioms identification in Konkani also. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Now I request Dr. Natasha to start. I mean, if there are any questions, we'll take during the tea break.
A very good morning to the dignitaries on the days, off the days, and online. So while the PPT is being set up, let me quickly begin. So we've seen how to leverage AI in our textbook development journey. We've also seen the need to create content, to create terminology in Konkani. So in this continuation of what I'm going to share with you today, as textbook developers, we also need to consider that there are free online resources that we can definitely take for our books. So in today's presentation, we'll be doing what are OERs, why are they important for textbook developers, how to find them, and also how to go about using them. So let me start with just a quick question. When you think of textbooks and ideal textbooks, you can plug it. Okay. When you think of an ideal textbook, what are the different resources that come to your mind? So, and if you can identify, what exactly these resources are. Now, in the interest of time, I will go ahead and, think on your behalf. So, I'm sure you would have thought of text-based resources. Then there would also be visual resources, images, you have animations that are there. So, it could be interactive resources. You would also have some resources for activity and practice. Now, considering that a textbook writer needs to include all of these resources in the book, what are some of the concerns that you will have? Take a moment to think over that. What are some of the concerns? So I'm sure you'd be thinking of the timeline in which you need to finish. So we've seen already how we can leverage AI to speed up this process. You would also be concerned about, the accuracy of the terms that you're using. So we've also seen it, how we can leverage again the data sets that exist and how, we can take it forward. There are also other concerns, like say, for instance, copyright, which I'm sure you would have had a session yesterday. Where the resources that are available online, can you use all of it? And if at all you can use, then in what, capacity do you use that? So I'm sure that you would have other concerns, but let's move on from here, because we have at our disposal a wide range of resources. Like this is the data for resources online that were created in 2021. And we know that today there are definitely more resources, and every passing day they keep increasing. So it's important for us to also curate, use the resources that exist online, because they are available, and they are also, it's possible that you'll find it in multiple formats. So you know that your learners will not only require text-based content, you do need to add visuals that are there. And if necessary, you can add audio content in the languages that they prefer. But at the same time, you need to consider the licenses. So let me just take you to just a spectrum of what these licenses are. It is a little bit of recap from your session yesterday. So you have on your left-hand side your copyright. And we know with copyright that you need permissions from the author to reuse. And on the right-hand side, you have resources that are in the public domain, or you have like the copyright slash. And in between, you have your open resources. Now, one of the most commonly used open resources are your Creative Commons resource, which you can see right below this copy left symbol. Can we go to the next? Now, all of the resources are not OERs. What are OERs? Open education resources that you as textbook writers can reuse. So out of this, a majority of resources that are there are free for you to reuse. So let's quickly get into what is OER, and who best than to ask UNESCO to give us a definition. So we see that OERs are resources for teaching learning. They are available in multiple formats, and they can be remixed, reused. Now, say for instance, we know that there exist a lot of resources in English, but in Konkani they may not be available. But if a resource is an OER, you can pick it up, you can transform it into Konkani, and then reuse it in your books. Why do we use OERs? Because one, it saves time. It saves time, energy, cost also that are involved. Because if you're using a copyrighted image, you'll need to pay the royalty. And if your time is, if you conserve time that you would use to create the resource and you optimize that time for, creating better activities or, more learner-centric content, this is better for you for the textbooks. We also look at, at least a major challenge is the localization and the context of your content for our audience in Goa. So the writers, you all can focus on that. The next major question is, where do you find these OERs? Can you quickly? So one is, the first and the most simplest step would be using your keywords and advanced search features. So I will show you a screenshot because we don't have time to go into a demo in the next slide. Next, you can also use specialized repositories, whether they are, portals as well as specialized OERs repositories. Can we go to the next? So if you use Google search or you use any other, even Yahoo, Bing, all of it will have advanced search features. You'll probably need to go to the right-hand side, left-hand side, you'll have the settings icon. You go there and you select for resources that are free to reuse or free to adapt. Okay. Here are some specialized repositories which we'll share with you. These are well-known repositories for images, text, as well as a range of multimedia resources. So we'll share with you the links after the session. Can we go to the next? So you will also have repositories for open textbooks that exist in a lot of the sciences, social sciences, as well as languages. Currently, there is no open textbook in Konkani, but Konkani language as well as subjects related to Konkani, which brings in this importance of having a project that all of you all are part of now. Yes. And the last is, how do you use these OERs? So can you quickly this? So all of these open education resources, you can retain a copy of it. You can also, take two OERs. Say, for instance, you have an image and you want to add an audio track to it. So you can combine these two. You can remix it and create a new resource. You can also, revise. Say, for instance, you found a video or a text in English. It's good. Like it has all of the concepts. It's accurate in terms of, the content. Representation is also well done. Now you can always take a resource and adapt it in Konkani or, translate in Konkani if it's an OER. The only thing is you need to be mindful of the license, what license it contains, because not all resources let you adapt, so you need to check that. And you have to maintain quality parameters, which I'm sure the other dignitaries would have already explained in a previous or the next sessions. Okay, with this, let's go. With this, I wish you the best. If you have any queries, we'll take it during the break. Okay, thank you.
I would like to thank all the four speakers. I think they have definitely given enough tips how technology can be used by the authors in their whole process of textbook writing. So if there are any questions, maybe we can take some 3 questions from the audience. Yeah. Anybody? Any questions to Dr. Kavita, Dr. Natasha, Dr. Shilpa, and
म्हजी एखादी बरोबर नासत अंडरस्टँडींग पूण हांव जशें समजता की AI जे आसा पळय AI इंटरनेटाचेर जितलोय डेटा एवेलेबल आसा न्ही तो एक्सेस करूं शकता. आतां कोंकणींतल्यान व्हडलेशें कांय लिखाण जायना इंटरनेटाचेर पूण एक न्यूजपेपर तरी येता कोंकणींतल्यान प्लस सोशल मिडियाचेर खुबशे जाण कोंकणी भाशेंतल्यान बरयता प्लस ब्लॉग्स आसता. आतां हो जो डेटा तयार जाता पळय तो AI एक्सेस करून आपल्या रिपोजिटरी भितर घेवं शकना.
Okay. I would like to take this. So basically, as you have correctly identified, there is a lot of data. And there is data of all types. And data of all types is there in the publicly available domain. and Google has been crawling that data for years together, for so long, right? So the question is, when we are looking at the output of the AI, maybe the chat GPT output, it is very important to understand in what context are we looking or validating that output. If you are looking at the output from the scientific perspective, that domain, you may not find it so relevant. But if you are looking at it from the generic perspective, you may find it useful, right? Now, it depends again on how much of that data and what quality of that data has been crawled by the crawling engine. If the crawler has crawled the data of not so good quality, then even for general purpose application, you will not get that good usable output. Now, when we come to the scenario of Indian languages, and as Sunaina had shown the figures of authentic data, which is there on Bhashadan, and we are able to see the comparison across Indian languages, we see that Konkani data is having figures which are really having a large gap from any other languages like Hindi and Marathi. So there, even for general purpose aspect, we will not be able to see very good quality output from generative AI or any kind of AI.
आणि एकूच डाऊट आता तुम्ही तो भाषादानाचे दाखयले न्ही हांवें मोबायलाचेर जस्ट ट्राय केलें भाषादान आणि भाषादान आस्क्ड मी फॉर ट्रान्सलेशन ऑफ सम 5 English sentences. Whatever sentences they showed, I translated and gave. They just accepted it. Now the same data will be taken.
There is an option wherein experts can register and the experts are going to validate, and only after that it will be considered. And let me tell you, Konkani had 0 entries before this. Recently in December we had Bharatiya Bhasha Divas because people were not aware of it. Once we told them about this, we got this figure. Otherwise it was 0. In fact, when I went to School of Languages for Bharatiya Bhasha, and I'm happy that people have started contributing. So all Konkani, I had requested that time also, some time if you take off and contribute on Bhashadan, okay, that will really help us. Means the whole Konkani community. You can see Bengali, they are really doing well. Yeah, because there are many, okay? It shows the love for the language, and I think it's the need now that all Konkani people, speakers have to come and contribute whatever way they can. And if we want to have textbooks in different domains like disciplines, we'll have to have those domain-specific dictionaries or domain-specific word nets. That would be the ideal thing. And one thing which we had proposed was CSTT has started developing the terminologies. Use that terminology to create the word nets. Okay, that will also be a very useful activity. Yeah, any other, maybe one last question and then we can. Okay, maybe other questions we can take during the tea break. Yeah, thanks to all of you.
Crisper with this video.
Yeah, can we please? In the meantime, may I play it? Just check the sound. Connected.
Those who are coming from Tamil Nadu, I request them to
Play it again. Just make it full.
use your earphone.
This was in 2023.
First time using AI technology. The friends from Tamil Nadu, is it okay? So this was my first experience. In future I will use it.
Honorable PM has used Bhashini for the first time in 2023. Sir, the answer to your question.
Those who are coming from Tamil Nadu, I request them to use your earphone.
Bhashini was used real
First
time during this
using,
event.
AI technology. मेरे परिवारजनों, तमिलनाडु से काशी आने का मतलब है
So, this is the impact of Bhashadan. So, we can see here, it was the application in 2023 when PM Modi had visited Varanasi, and it was used for Tamil language. And now the figures which we have demonstrated with respect to Konkani language, and as ma'am said, these are the enhanced figures where we have now our fraternity, our community been aware of the need for improving our data on Bhashini. So we request each one of you to visit Bhashadan today and kindly contribute so that we can have our Honorable Prime Minister address Konkani in his next meeting. Dev Barikuru.
And let me say our team is ready to visit the colleges and demonstrate it to the faculty members and the students. So you can write to us, then the awareness will be created. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's give another round of applause to all the panelists and the moderator, Professor Jyoti Pawar. May I request Dr. Hanuman Chopdekar, Discipline of Konkani, Shenoi Goembab School of Languages and Literature, to kindly present a certificate of our appreciation to each of our panelists, starting with Dr. Kavita Asnani. Ms. Sunaina Gowde. Ms. Shilpa Desai. Dr. Natasha Maria Gomes. And finally, with a big round of applause to our moderator for today, Professor Jyoti Pawar. Thank you, everyone. We'll quickly break for tea, and as we are already a little over schedule, yes, let's take a group picture. I request all the participants and delegates to kindly make their way to the hall for tea. We will meet at 12 sharp for the next session. Thank you.